Episode 258 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 30th, 2019. Who's watching? Guys, who is watching? We're going to talk about a couple shows this week.
Facebook, right?
Facebook is watching. Facebook Watch.
No, I just meant like...
Oh, they're watching
probably,
us.
Like this phone's probably just an
yeah, that's true.
Right?
They're
not watching me. They're listening to me. I got a little piece of tape over my camera now.
Oh, that's smart. Smart move. Yeah.
But they listening. They are listening. I agree with you guys there.
So the shows we're talking about this week are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Season 6?
Million.
7?
6.
6. Seventh is the final season, which
Yes,
is not coming
up.
Season 6. And we're talking about Watchmen. 2 shows set in a superhero universe that could not be more different. There's no way these shows can be any more different. And Watchmen has the famous phrase, "Who watches the Watchmen?" And S.H.I.E.L.D. has the question, "Who is watching this show?"
EJ.
EJ is watching this show.
EJ is watching S.H.I.E.L.D.
And EJ is making me watch it.
Dennis McIlwain, I think, is also watching S.H.I.E.L.D.
So our patron, EJ, jumped in on the $20 level, which we have, where you can choose a show that we have to dedicate an episode to. And he has done this to me. And yes, I take it as he's done it to me several times and made me go back and binge a show that I gave up on several seasons ago. And every time I go back, it just gets crazier.
It feels like the film franchise Saw. We are stuck in a death trap where either we convince somebody to watch this show by watching it ourselves and showering it with critical praise, or something awful and catastrophic like loss of a limb.
It is fantastically like the film series Saw, actually. Except that I would say that Saw 1 was better than S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen Saw 1, but I would guess that that's probably accurate.
It's where we got James Wan from.
Okay.
Like, it's
In
actually,
all seriousness,
Yeah.
I think Saw 1 is like a hidden masterpiece. I guess
is,
it wasn't hidden then.
No,
but whatever came after
and then
it,
it
was
turned-
completely different. Yeah.
Then it oddly arcs back up for the last like
Does it?
way late in the season.
Maybe
in
I
the
should check
saga.
those out, yeah.
I think it's like 5 or 6 or something like that. It becomes an unexpectedly better movie.
I would like to
much
pitch,
like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I would like to pitch Agents of Saw.
Agents of
We're
Saw.
in Jigsaw recruits agents to go
This
out.
is actually
and,
a Watchmen mashup because you definitely have like a Rorschach Army vibe
Yeah.
to the Agents of Jigsaw.
Do you
here.
like to play a franchise, but you get none of the pieces?
Before we dive right into the reviews, though, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And so it's going to be we're going to deep dive on both these shows.
Agents
Now
of Saw, Randy. God damn it.
there have been roughly 1 million episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and there
Yes.
have been exactly 2 of Watchmen as we
Yes.
talk. So, however, I believe there's going to be a lot of discussion on both because I have notes about Watchmen. I'm super into it. Our TV dude buddy Grant is running his own separate podcast, Who Pods the Watchmen, which is
He does.
It's like an hour-long deep dive
I
every
want
week.
that in Latin now.
And I definitely recommend everybody check it out if you're as into the Watchmen as I am. It's a really interesting deep dive into it. They get into if you know Grant, so he's plumbing the depths of Reddit looking for theories. You will hear some thoughts, some crazy theories. He will predict something that none of us saw coming, like he did with some of us. Like I don't remember which show, but he saw something coming. Maybe it was Mr. Robot. But he picked it up on Reddit. It was Game of Thrones stuff, I think, where he picked it up and knew it well before anybody could have possibly picked up on it. So, Who Pods the Watchmen? Definitely worth a listen after you've listened to the TV Dudes, of course.
I'm excited to see, if he's, where he falls. I know he's hit or miss on Lindelof.
Yeah, Grant, 'cause he's not big on Lindelof. Yeah. So let's start off talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And let's, for real quick, we're just going to recap seasons 1 through 5.
Before we do that, just real fast.
Yeah.
Every time you say it or every time I read it, do you think we're actually watching The Shield? Like for a moment, do you go, "Oh, Shield's back"?
No.
right? And
No,
then you're
I
like,
don't.
"Shit, there's more to that."
No, I couldn't. I'm disappointed enough, Kyle. I can't do that to my brain. That would be so mean.
Agents of the Shield. With it just instead of Coulson, it's Vic Mackey.
I'd watch that.
And Walton Goggins is whatever Ward.
Walton Goggins. Maybe Walton Goggins should be Ming-Na Wen's
Mac-
character.
oh yes,
There you go.
I'm the cavalry.
We could pitch. We could have done a whole episode of the various other agents of that this show could have been.
I have a feeling some more are coming.
So to jump back, when Shield season 1 was announced, I was super into this.
I was very excited. Like we figured out how to hook the rabbit ears up on the TV to
Yeah.
make sure that we had ABC to watch like in real time at 7 p.m. or whatever.
I read a report that every episode was going to have a cameo from an MCU actor.
Oh, really?
And then Sam Jackson was in one of the first episodes.
One of the
for
other
like
ones,
2
yeah.
seconds at the end.
He's in the after credit sting.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
we're gonna see Chris Hemsworth on ABC.
Yeah.
Nope,
so
we got Sif. That was
we got
it.
Sif. Yeah.
And then she was removed from the movies
So
for it.
the first episode came on, and most of my friends were hugely disappointed in it. I was somewhat into it. I was like, I like Coulson. I like the flying car, cheesy effect and all. The notion of the bus as their mini helicarrier. There's some interesting ideas here. And there was the whole tease of, well, how is Coulson back alive? It's a magical place. Did they send him to Asgard?
Mm-hmm.
Is he an LMD? No, it's brain surgery. And then it was Kree technology.
Mm-hmm.
They basically took every possible thing that could have made me interested and went the other way.
Yeah, I defended this hard in its first season.
Me too.
And by the second season, it was starting to have this feeling that they were going to take a bunch of comic ideas I liked and either push them to the sideline or do them weirdly badly.
Well, they did Deathlock, and it didn't quite work.
And not just that, they did Deathlock with an actor I love.
Yeah.
Gunn from Angel.
I thought he'd have been great as Deathlock, and he wasn't. And then the Winter Soldier's twist happened, and suddenly Ward was the bad guy, and it all looked interesting again. And they brought in who played Vanessa Hand, whoever that Bendis character was in there. And I was like, oh well, it's getting interesting. And then they blew up all of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Coulson had to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, that's a great premise for a show. And S.H.I.E.L.D. could not have looked smaller. It looked like it was being run out of a Vancouver warehouse, which of course it was. And it was at that point when they did like Abomination, or they did Absorbing Man, and relatively well. They did Graviton. They were starting to introduce some stuff.
Graviton was one of the frustrating, like, oh, you almost did it, but then not.
They brought in Adrian Pasdar as Talbot.
Yes. Yeah, he was good.
There was all these interesting ideas, and it never quite. And they made Daisy into Quake. Like they were trying so hard.
I grew to like the main crew, but even watching it now, the show's really grown on me. Like for all of this preface, I actually liked this most recent season, but it still feels like there's no. I still feel like I'm missing the MCU star. Like, and I don't just mean like the acting power. I mean, why weren't any of these named characters from the comics?
It doesn't
Nobody,
feel
not even D-lister. I mean,
doesn't
really.
feel like it belongs in the MCU at all. It feels like fanfic. It feels like someone went, "Hey, let's put on a show and pretend we're part of the MCU," and it's bad fanfic.
It's like the actress that plays Yo-Yo kills it. Like I really like that character because of her. But the Marvel Universe had no shortage of characters who have not been on television yet to pull from, and every time Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tries to do some like their own spin on it, it ends up. I really like the Shrike this season, but they still look like weird bat. There's a lot of choices on the effects.
There's all these actors and all these that I like. There's the basic notion start off. I mean, they keep folding in new stuff, and every time they take a new direction, it felt like someone was like, "Well, this is how the show's going to work." And so you have the season that's like, "Okay, well, we're going to do the Inhumans." And the Inhumans is a terrible idea. It's just not
didn't work.
And they did it badly. And then it's like, well, what about Ghost Rider? And we'll make it supernatural. And that was a weird fit.
Which, I mean, I liked the Ghost Rider season, not as much as, I mean, I know there were a lot of people where they were like, that's the turning point where it came back around. I liked it, but not as much.
It was okay.
At this point, there's nothing they're going to do, honestly, that's going to take the full sting away from me being low-key disappointed in the first season, having felt like I defended it as they continued to low-key disappoint, and until eventually there was just a resentment there.
Yeah, I kind of resent this show. So to do a quick comparison, I happen to put on Legends of Tomorrow, DC's Legends of Tomorrow in the store, which we have a TV in the store, a comic store that I run, Rogues Gallery Comics and Games, Round Rock, Texas.
If you can afford the gas. Sorry.
And I was just watching it, while dealing with customers. So I turn around and I look up every now and then and I see something like, I see Biff from Back to the Future serenading a Minotaur with a guitar. Okay. If you do crazy shit like that, I mean, Legends of Tomorrow isn't a great show either, but it swings for the fences.
Any number of sins because of how weird it swings. I mean, they had an entire multi-episode arc about the unicorn tearing off a character's Gary's nipple, and then he gets a replacement nipple, but the replacement nipple's evil.
Yeah.
This goes on for multiple episodes and almost destroys the universe, and Constantine has to step in.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It's like there's a level of crazy that I want from my superheroes that S.H.I.E.L.D. never quite gets to. S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, the 90s, like Time Tracks and all that kind of stuff, like the syndicated sci-fi shows. That's what S.H.I.E.L.D. feels like to me.
X Factor? No, Mutant X.
Mutant X. Yeah. This is right in line with Mutant X.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's not 1994 anymore.
So, of the things that I liked out of the recent Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I still, Shotgun Axe is still a great thing that I was glad I saw on television.
Sure.
I really like Mac, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Mac and Yo-Yo's romance works for me. Those two actors' chemistry on set feels very real.
Mac is one of the best characters on the show. I remember they had Mockingbird on for a while, played by Adrian Blicki, and that was the closest they had to having me because that's one of my favorite characters, played by one of my favorite actresses. Yeah. They used, was it Lance Blood? I can't remember his name. Nick Blood playing Lance Hunter?
Yes.
Something like that.
Both names.
Yeah. One of them is real, one of them is a character name.
I actually don't know which.
I don't either.
I think Nick Blood is the actor.
He was like her Hawkeye, and they did a lot of the stuff I wanted, and then they took them both out because they were going to do a spinoff, which I was super excited about, and they didn't do the spinoff, and they didn't bring him back.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm happy Adrian Blicki's on the Orville, but Mockingbird was my reason for sticking around.
The Chromacons, the time robot weirdos.
Yeah.
I love Enoch. Like, he's just a weirdo. And I like that actor. He reminds me of Miguel Ferrer, which I just have a soft spot for.
Sure.
But and I'm a sucker for time travel in the same degree that I was never going to come back on board for the Framework, which Dennis
their Matrix season.
Yes, I really don't like that concept anymore. Like the Matrix ended that for me. Like, we're good on you getting to do a fake dream show where you try to get me to realize there's consequences, and there's not. There's really not.
Yeah.
So the Framework didn't bring me back, but I did like the Sarge and Shrike season more or less. I have, and this is the same kind of bad logic for the whole show, beings from a formless void that have never had form or whatever before, they all seem to take to bodies really well.
Yeah.
And have one like picked out already with like human features and shit. The movie Hancock, like, I don't hate it, but there's something wrong with the logic that keeps me from like loving it the way I thought I would when I saw the trailer.
Great way of describing that movie.
And that's kind of how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is. Like, I don't hate it. There's a lot here that I love. Like, they do more stuff that I really love in this last season than I really expected. There's quite a bit about it that I like. I love Deke. I love him making a basically giant, like making himself Elon Musk off shit future tech that he remembers.
Yeah.
Like, of course he would do that and spin it as like the greatest humanitarian move ever.
What I found interesting about this new season when I looked into it is it doesn't feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. It doesn't feel like Marvel Cinematic. It feels like they've gone off in their own direction. Like,
it's completely insular now.
There's a whole arc. They're going into space to hunt down one of their former friends, and they're like, they're on a spaceship, and there's aliens, and I'm like, what show is this? That doesn't belong here. And that's part of it. And then because they killed off Coulson to bring the actor back, they've got this weird extra-dimensional crew, Evil Coulson.
Sarge, yeah.
And it feels weird. Like, don't get me wrong. I love seeing Clark Gregg get to play the darker version of him. I thought that was a lot of fun, but none of it feels like it belongs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all. It feels like they just gave up.
And somehow none of it is having. I mean, this actually is pretty in line with comics, where you've got your title you read, and it's having like world-shaking implications with every issue's fight.
Yeah.
That somehow nobody else's titles are noticing until it's crossover event time. And that's kind of like there's stuff happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of like, how would the MCU not notice this?
Right.
You should have either just not had it connected or figured out how to do it.
Well, the other thing that drives me a little crazy is that with space adventure and all this kind of stuff and interdimensional duplicates of yourself robbing places, trying to survive something that, they're basically survivalists in a non-survivalist setting all of a sudden, it should be interesting. And it's not. I don't care about any of it. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, you've already killed off all the characters. You killed off Coulson. You got rid of Mockingbird. I like Ming-Na Wen, but I don't care what happens to the cavalry.
Wait a second. Coulson died?
Yeah, he died.
Spoilers?
Yeah.
Wait, this season?
No, previous season.
Oh, wait, yeah, at the very beginning.
But then he shows back up, but then it turns out he's maybe not him, but Sarge doesn't really have a lot of memories.
Yeah.
But he gets his brain all redone because he died in Avengers.
He died in Avengers, and they brought him back. He dies from long-term effects of that, I think. And he doesn't wind up on a beach with God, why can I not remember Ming-Na Wen's character's name?
Because we've had you rebuilt, Randy.
Melinda May.
Yeah.
He and Melinda May have like a hand holding on the beach moment, and it's like he's going to die, and they don't know when, but soon.
Oh.
And he was like degrading, right? I don't remember exactly.
Something like that.
Something like that. And then he had died. And then this new season, there's a crew from another dimension that's being led by Evil Coulson.
Yeah, like the first time they see him on video, it's a very like, what the fuck moment. Huh. And then he has he's I'm not your guy, whatever. Like, but Sarge gets a leg up on him in a bunch of fights because they just can't respond right because he's Coulson.
Yeah, he's Coulson. Yeah.
So, Randy, did you finish out this last season
all the way
to the end?
I did not, but you can feel free to spoil it for me.
All right, so I'm going to spoil it for you. The stinger after the very end of the, I mean, they win. They beat these god things. Yep. They smash the ride. Everything's fine. More or less. Obviously, they have to kill Sarge to do it.
Yeah, sure.
So no more Coulson. They are left with basically like the Chromicons, like the time traveling robot things.
Okay.
They jump in after all they think, okay, we've beat this thing. Suddenly they realize that like this is the moment where you are now under large scale attack from a time traveling civilization.
That is so weird for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And they have all of Fury's files about like the history of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is basically a roadmap to like here's all the history of S.H.I.E.L.D. Go through and figure out where the pinch points are that these time-traveling robots are going to go back and mess with. So basically, it seems like they've turned the plot of next season into
Travelers.
Time. What was the?
Oh yeah, the show we liked. The time.
Yes.
Timeless.
Timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it seems like they've turned it into Timeless. Like, where are they going to try to go fuck with S.H.I.E.L.D. history through these time-traveling robots? So
Coulson's back.
So. They have Fury's notes and everything, but May is in a coma. I think like she's unconscious.
Okay, sure.
There's nobody that actually knows the history of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they have access to, and so with Enoch's Chromicron, whatever the fuck they're called, technology, they make the most advanced LMD they have so far, and it's Coulson.
So finally, he's an LMD, which should have been in the first place.
He's now an actual LMD, and everybody know, or at least. Daisy and Simmons knows it.
Yeah.
And Mac.
Why didn't they do that in the MCU? That'd have been dope.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
So it literally like before the credits roll, it's him like putting the tie on and like the cuff and like, hey guys.
Oh my god.
And then credits roll.
So can I say the thing that I think that really need them to do less of in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is a weird thing to complain, they need to be less ambitious. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics had crazy spy tech, but it was basically a superfied version of James Bond. Mm-hmm. It's Nick Fury and his crew up against this evil organization called Hydra. And yeah, they have big doomsday plans and that kind of thing, but there's no aliens, there's no time travel, there's no space adventure. It is grounded 60s spy adventure. And I feel like if they had done modern day Jack Ryan in the Marvel Universe, keep things a little lower and not don't bring in all the superpowers, don't have everybody have superpowers, it would have been a better show.
See, I think they took the criticism in their first season of like
too small.
It's too small, and where are all the big MCU and I think they took that to mean let's try to go for all of these powers and everything, but then they just never did.
Small.
They never went, or I don't know. I won't say they never went for it. For whatever reason, it never came across.
Well,
like
because despite the scale they're aiming for, it still looks like it's being made on a 90s TV budget.
It's not as bad as Inhumans looked, but
it's not as bad as Inhumans looked.
I think I've told you guys my pitch, but they should have leaned into that 90s TV budget, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have literally meant two agents, like your Mulder and your Scully, all right, who are disconnected from, so like when all that stuff in Winter Soldier happened, and like S.H.I.E.L.D. just collapsed, they would have just been like rogue agents at that, and you do it for a season, and then you don't even have to address it again, or like... It would have been great to see them do like Monster of the Week, like just totally rip off X-Files. I don't even care. Like I'd have loved it.
I think what they needed was one of the stronger seasons was when they had Hydra as a bad guy. They had people they were actually working against, and they were doing things like going to villas and having to pose and go do ballroom dancing. Do more spy shit and less space adventure bullshit. The show jumped genres so many times, it never felt like it belonged to any of those genres.
Weirdly for me, their best season was the Hive season. Where Ward became whatever. And mostly because
that was also Hydra. I mean,
mostly because his where they were leaning into superpowers, they had a monster that straight out creeped me out. Now, it also did a stupid dust special effect that really irritated me.
Oh, yeah.
But, it looked like any swirling dust looks like the demo of the CG program to me. I don't care what you do with it or how you color it. It will always look like the demo of the fucking thing. And so that was a little crappy, but... I really liked and they have to kill him in space. It's a whole thing. Like, I really dug that season. He was straight up creepy as a villain. It let the actor who was Ward just really lean into that.
I think they wanted me to invest way more in the will they won't they of Fitzsimmons than I did. I don't care whether they're together or not.
Everybody who knows me knows how much I love puns and wordplay and stuff. The Fitzsimmons joke, I don't know why, but it irritated me from the moment they did it. I was like... You built a character around it. Like, you built a whole... So then there was so much architecture around this joke where I was like, but there's like scaffolding to this. Why is there this much
dumb.
shit to this joke?
There was a point where I was watching the show and the characters got separated. And they're both like really emotionally traumatized. And I remember just thinking like, but it was just that joke. Like, why are you so sad?
They were trying to build it up as if this was grand time-spanning romance. They belonged together, and I never bought it. I never bought into it. I had an easier time.
Romance, like...
Oh, yeah. He was after her for the longest time, unrequited.
I thought they were like brother-sister.
No.
Oh, what?
Like unrequited lab partner love.
Yeah. And then she fell in love with him.
In his lane.
And in the framework, I think there's like an evil serial killer version of him. He's like the Goebbels of fucking...
They also... Something. I don't know how much the actress had input in it, but it felt like the actress was like, hey, can I play a different version of myself? Like, there's so much of that. Every one of them plays a different version of themselves. Everybody gets brainwashed or robotized or something. And it just...
It's because when you do this many episodes of TV, people get bored.
You
got to keep them interested.
If you're gonna do syndicated shows, look at the ones that do it. Look at Supernatural. Look at X-Files. Look at what works. And build off of that. Don't try to do this. I don't know what model they were using. It feels like they had never seen a TV show done before.
I would put... I've said before, I try to watch Legends of Tomorrow on Saturday mornings.
Because
it's perfect. It's perfect there. I would put this on at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. On maybe a Sunday. Like, it has... I don't know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has never risen above a like bandit TV movie for me. I don't quite know what...
I mean, the thing is, I can look at
every
any
story
number
from
of
my
shows.
fucking childhood. How are y'all not telling them?
I mean, Kyle's on the same with X-Files. X-Files would have been something to model on. Burn Notice. Look at how Burn Notice worked, and do Shield. Like, there's
if
so many ways.
Suddenly, like when Shield burned down in the movies and the MCU,
if they were on the
in the
run,
comics, and Hydra took it over, if just out of nowhere on season 3 or whatever that would have been, you opened with basically Burn Notice.
Yeah,
like open with the like. When you're burned as a SHIELD agent, you can't even go to.
There's so many, and it's funny thing is what they did. All those premises could have worked. Maybe not the space bounty hunter bullshit because that's crazy, but deciding that they needed to deal with the Ghost Rider and the Darkhold and all that kind of stuff. There's a way you could have made that work and transitioned it, like where they were trying to save someone or fix the world in a way and they needed magical power. They could do something like that. The whole thing with Hive, the whole thing with Hydra, the rebuilding, having politicians come in and decide that someone else besides Coulson need to be in charge. There's all these things that should have worked and none of it does. And I think the larger reason has got to be the writing because the actors, there's nothing wrong with these actors except they all seem to want to play different versions of their characters. But I got to put it all on the writing and the production design, which is all seems amateur hour.
This is where I'm going to lean into reboot culture to just save us. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reboot's got to be, what, a year or two out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. New cast. But
do they do it as a TV show or is it cinematic?
What's a TV show nowadays?
It's binge. It's a 10-episode binge.
Well, I read that ABC wants another Marvel show to replace it.
I don't think that's okay. So the news, of course, is that Kevin Feige now is in charge. Kevin Feige or Kevin Feige or whatever his actual name is now in charge of Marvel TV. Like they put him, he is now chief creative officer of Marvel. They put him in charge of everything: TV, video games, movies, all of it. And Jeff Loeb is rumored to be leaving. And Jeff Loeb is definitely one of the guys who's been steering this Titanic into the iceberg. That guy is not good at this. And all of a sudden, like Cloak and Dagger is getting canceled over on Freeform, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming on its final season. I'm sure we're going to hear news about Runaways not getting another season. I am almost certain that all the Marvel stuff that's out there?
All the
Netflix
stuff.
The Netflix stuff is shut down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically, everything that Loeb did is persona non grata, and we're going to get Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision and what's the other one? Hawkeye. And there's one more.
Widow.
And Black Widow's movie. And there's one more thing coming to the Marvel Cinematic.
Damn it, what is it?
Plus they're also doing
What If?
Moon Knight.
Yes,
Moon Knight, Miss Marvel.
What If is happening. Miss Marvel's happening. I mean, some of these are animated.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yes.
And Marvel Zombies. Mm-hmm. Some of that's animated, some of it's live action. But all of this TV stuff is going to come that's actually going to be tied in because it's run by the guy who ran the whole thing. And I think we're going to see what we should have seen in the first place. And all this stuff that's been out there, ABC, Inhumans, which existed, all that stuff is going to be basically forgotten.
It still exists, Randy. It always exists.
Nope, no, doesn't.
I'm going to give you one disc every Christmas.
So I feel like basically all of this is going to come to nothing. Like it'll be so not remembered and so unimportant. And I think ABC, sure, they want a Marvel show, but they're not going to get one.
Yeah, but I think from like a corporate footprint type thing, the idea is that there will be some type of show, a B-list show probably, but like a family evening programming thing that can stay on ABC.
You know, if they're going to do that, if they were going to do ABC shows, they should stick with the family thing. They should do Power Pack, which would be a perfect ABC show.
They could have stuck with No Ordinary Family. But I mean, something like Power Pack would be great.
Yeah. Something that is actually aimed at a family audience. Something that works as a comedy. They were working on that New Warriors thing, which I thought would have been terrible.
Give me a Fantastic Four Imaginaut type of thing.
Warriors like the movie?
No, New Warriors.
Oh, sorry.
That's a comic.
Oh.
But they were going to do a version that had a Squirrel Girl, and it sounded weird. But I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get – EJ's going to make me watch this final season because EJ hates me.
Yes. I think it's final seasons of shows are special animals.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be entertaining. They're going to bring back all the things you didn't like and kill them off.
I say they're going to spin it off into that Power Pack show we were talking about. Hey, real quick.
Galactus just shows up in the last episode and eats everything.
Everything, yeah.
I don't think we have enough time for me to like just chew on this, but I've been playing with the different scores from like Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, IMDb, and have come up with some type of a loose ranking.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. The one show that's ranked higher than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then the 3 shows that are tied for the spot.
Oh, yeah, please tell me. Yeah,
what's on par with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
So do you want to hear the show that's 1 point below it or 1 point?
I want to hear the higher one first.
The higher one?
All right. If I was trying to flip the channel and move up from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay. Showtime show. That's going to limit it. You guys got any guesses? It's 4th season on Showtime.
4th season. Billionaire.
Billions. Yes.
Billions is better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Considerably better.
And then... actually, only by 3 points. If you take what everybody rates,
that's so crazy.
Yeah, again, not me. But and then the 3 shows that are tied with 1 point less are Dead to Me on Netflix, which I liked. iZombie.
What?
Yeah.
I am offended.
I am also offended.
And season 4 of Veronica Mars.
What?
Yep. Oh, you don't even want to hear the ones that are below.
Oh my God,
They're wrong.
They are so wrong.
So there's 2
upside
things.
down world bullshit.
This isn't just people's opinions, but it's the amount of people who put scores on there. So if a show's less popular, it's not going to have as many scores.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I am disappointed in the TV watching audience.
I am actually really surprised at how high it is. It is in the top 26.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have to rethink everything.
We don't deserve television.
It's got a 94 critic score. I'm just going to double check that.
Are you sure this isn't The Shield?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would make more sense. If it was The Shield, sure, okay, I can see where they come from.
My TV dyslexia is kicking in. No, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm going to double check the scores before we finish up, but yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it's been out for a while too, so it's got a lot more scores.
That makes sense. It does have a lot of seasons. Yeah. All right.
Hard no.
All right, EJ. I hope you are pleased with our in-depth discussion of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what you've done to me.
EJ, we got to figure out a way to make Randy watch this last season. I'm going to try to get it on there without costing you 20, but...
So let's talk instead about a show that, for me, I'm actually loving on a level that I put it up with like The Good Places, possibly the best show on TV right now.
It's only 2 episodes in, and so I'm not going to say anything that outlandish. But
I was getting ready to say 2 episodes is the best thing on TV.
2 episodes in, yes. If you were to tell me I can watch 2 shows a week, I would watch this show and The Good Place.
All right. Well...
Okay, I'm actually. I just had a moment where I understood how people might rank Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. over time because, like, The Flash is nowhere close to as prestige a show as Watchmen. Like, just the sheer money thrown at it.
Right.
That said, I have not watched the second Watchmen episode, but I did catch up on Flash as like the one show I watched this week, and it's because I have years invested in who these people are on Flash.
That's fair. Okay.
I will say this. I was really surprised at, if I can give it a wife score, at how like eager Shannon was to watch it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this will be an easy one.
So Watchmen is the new show from Damon Lindelof on HBO. It is a sequel to the Watchmen graphic novel. It was pitched as a miniseries. I'm not sure if that's still true or not, because this
I didn't
feels
know
like
if it was a sequel or a reimagining.
It's a sequel.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I thought when they announced Watchmen miniseries, they're gonna do the graphic novel as a miniseries, and I'm glad they didn't, because honestly, while Zack Snyder's film is not great, it's probably the best movie adaptation we were gonna get. Like, it misses the point by a mile.
Huge bits of it though just look like on-screen moving versions of the page. It's stunning in that regard.
Yeah, and so
there's a lot about the movie I actually really do like. But
so I feel like it did what it was supposed to do. It's like this is the closest you're going to get to a movie adaptation of Watchmen. Watchmen always should have worked on a more extended scale, and I think trying to do that now, it's going to compare to the movie and it's going to compare to the graphic novel, and there's really no need to do a version of the graphic novel for live action or even animation. The graphic novel is a graphic novel, and it should be. But the world is so interesting that further exploration of it is definitely warranted, and the only reason you wouldn't is because Alan Moore is a grumpy magician.
Well, at this point, you can just take it as a given that Moore is not going to like whatever you fill in the Mad Lib,
right?
Whatever project, whatever you do with it. Don't go. He's not going to like your adaptation of it. He did it the way he wanted it done, and it's done.
Which
I get.
Yeah,
so
sure.
But you're free.
Yeah.
Stop fucking asking Alan Moore whether he likes it.
Well, here's what's on the line if this is successful.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if this has ever been done before, but this is essentially a sequel. And let's say that this is good for a season, 2, 3 seasons. Like, who's to say that they don't go back into the past and either do a flashback season where we see events from the comic, or they just retell that story prequel style.
At some point, I feel like we will definitely see a flashback that shows us some other angle of a scene from the comic or something clever like that.
Yeah, right? I think that's entirely possible. I mean,
I don't know how I would possibly resist doing that if I were involved.
The thing I find interesting about this is, well, one thing, this is a bold statement, I'm aware. I feel like if you could convince Alan Moore to watch this, he would begrudgingly have to say, yeah, this is what someone should do with my property. Because
but he wouldn't.
It has so little to do. I mean, it really doesn't have to be Watchmen. Like, the elements of Watchmen that are in there, like Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan and all that stuff, it's interesting and adds spice. But this is just an interesting show.
And I feel like this is how a lot of things get made nowadays.
Yeah.
Find what you can do interesting with an existing IP so that you can get the backing to get the real budget to do it like this.
Because what Lindelof is doing is what Watchmen was all about. It came out in 85, I believe. It was about the fears of the time. It was about the fears of
England under Thatcher
of fascist ideology and nuclear war. And the notion, and then Moore was sort of exploring the meta nature of, well, are superheroes a fascist ideology? Are superheroes...
is this a fetishizing of cops?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the new one is addressing it the same way. It's like, it's talking about the fetishization of cops. It's talking about the militarization of cops. It's talking about nature of race relations, which is one of the big fears and anxieties. And in flipping things around so that they're in Tulsa, they're in this sort of place where more of the cops are black, and they sort of flip the script, and the white supremacists are the ones getting their civil liberties violated and getting savage beatdowns. And you're like, man, I want to root for these guys, but they're also the cops, and I want to root for the guys getting beat up, but they're white supremacists and they probably deserve it. And that kind of moral ambiguity is exactly what Watchmen should do.
Well, and the fact they are cops, but they're wearing masks.
They're wearing masks.
So they're essentially superheroes in that regard, or vigilantes in that regard.
Yeah. And I think they did something really smart in giving the lead character, whose name I'm blanking on, Regina King's sister Knight. She is our lead, and she is a cop, but she also she's the person who's probably going to wind up outside the system. And even though she's delivering these savage beatdowns to these guys, she beats up a white supremacist in every episode so far. And
she's a secret cop too.
Yeah.
Like
she can't admit she's a cop. Yeah, she's a baker.
Yes.
But because we can see that she is basically on the straight and narrow, even if she's got some rage issues, we can root for her even if the system she's part of is corrupt. And I think that's really smart. I think that what they've done, the notion of there was this attack, this sort of white night where the 7th Cavalry, the white supremacists, came for the cops. And so now they hide their identities because they don't want people going after their families. It's such an interesting way to take the superhero genre and turn into a cop show.
Yeah, and it's also a really clever, lo-fi superhero.
Yeah.
Because you're always thinking, what's the good cosplay? What's the good power set?
Yeah.
Like you accomplish both of them there.
So it's like a low tech, low special effect way to show just the grunts on the ground in a superhero universe in a compelling way.
Yes.
As if they were agents of some larger organization that shielded humanity. You know?
It could work.
It could work.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It not only does this work, I mean, this works on a level that I would it's not just like I would have settled for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being a good procedural. This is prestige TV version of that, and it works.
And I haven't watched the second episode, but the little old man in the first episode.
Yeah, Louis Gossett Jr.
I was watching so much of what else was going on in the Squid Rain and trying to figure out where we were in the universe and is all right, so that's Dr. Manhattan, so he's here, so where are we in time and all this, that I totally missed how Chekhov's gun easy the setup of that shit was and how beautifully paid off it was on the final credit.
And you know what else I think is interesting is that all of this works, and then you got Lindelof's puzzle box layer on top of it. So the question of what's going on with the Squid Rain? Who the hell is this old man? What are the 7th Cavalry really up to with the watch batteries?
I need to pay attention
to?
Where'd
the owl ship come from? How's this guy have the owl ship?
I'm sorry, when they took the owl ship down on accident, I fucking laughed my ass off. Them getting out and laughing, because that's exactly what I mean. Like that to me summed up the level of crazy of like, we're superheroes. Like if you aren't laughing, you have like But there was some Iron Man moment in the comics of like, should you take a drink before you get into that suit? And like, I think it was in Ultimates or something, so maybe not the best. But like, you know, should you drink before you get into the Iron Man suit? And like, man, I'm going to go 10,000 feet into the air in a death coffin I built. If anything fails, I die. If you think I can get into this without a drink, there's no one who would get into that sober should be trusted.
And so diving into the second episode a little bit, I thought this was an amazing pilot. And so I wanted to see what the second episode was going to look like. And I thought the second episode was just as good.
It definitely was more of that, like, gosh, I cannot think of a more PC term for our younger listeners, but more of a mindfuck episode where, that puzzle box, it's just turning and the mystery's kind of unfolding, or you know, things that may be a mystery, things that may not even turn into anything.
Yeah.
I've been burned before.
Well, there's lots of little Watchmen. Like, they introduced a newsstand guy, a conspiracy-laden newsstand guy, which I liked. All the shit that's going on with Ozymandias, if that's who it is.
That is our gentleman with the accent.
Yes.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
Okay.
Who's supposedly dead, but...
Okay, so when we see him in the first episode, he has a birthday cake. It's 1 year. Seems like maybe it's the first year after he's been gone. This is something that I learned from Who Pods the Watchmen. Grant was doing the math. He's been gone for 7 years at this point. He died in like 2012. So when we see him celebrating the first year, his first birthday, there's a first of all, maybe that's his first year after being dead. And he's celebrating with his weird-ass servants who are clones or robots or something.
Spoiler.
And you can tell that from the first episode, and there's more confirmation in the second. But when they see him in the second, he's celebrating his second birthday, and he's still... So it seems like we're jumping back and seeing each year as he goes toward the present. So Ozymandias may have been scheming for 7 years.
That feels very on character.
And last time Ozymandias schemed for a while, he built a giant psychic squid that blew up in New York.
So whatever didn't work from the psychic squid the first time, I imagine he has a plan about... Because I honestly don't think the guy who comes up with the squid plan would think that any single event would cleanly fix the world.
No.
There would have to be after management.
Yeah, he's got another plan, I'm sure.
There's got to be some smaller scale ripple effect after plans just to make sure that everything falls out, all the pieces fall out the way you want them to.
And so when we see him, and in the second episode, he apparently these guys are clones. He's not too attached to them.
No.
And the other question is, did he die? Is he Ozymandias? Is he a clone of Ozymandias, and it's actually his second birthday?
You know, What stinks
They
is
had
there's
supposed to wait 5 years and then bring the clone up or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and there's some other clone themes in related television that we've been watching.
Yeah.
So part of me's like, am I just on this clone kick right now? Is that in my head?
Right.
Or, are they really trying to make us think that?
Yeah.
Is he like, what's his name? Who's shown the Voldemort?
Yeah.
And he's got like Horcruxes. He can just, come back whenever he needs to.
There's a big story going on with
model decoy.
Don Johnson's character, who I was sure was a renamed Night Owl. I was sure that he had taken a new identity. That's how he knew how to fly the owl ship. That's how, there was enough there. I'm like, okay, that's who that is. He's Night Owl. And then in the second episode, there's a big reveal where I'm like, he's probably not Night Owl.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, but then the question is like, is he a bad guy?
I don't know what that means.
Was he working undercover? Or was he the second shooter in her house and he spared her so that he could have her on his side? Like, there's all kinds of questions about this. Mm-hmm. And he was clearly, Louis Gossett Jr.'s character basically says he was the bad guy. That's why I did this. And he seems really spry for a guy in a wheelchair. He gets out of handcuffs. He can wander around pretty freely.
Can lift 200 pounds.
He talks about lifting 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. So in episode 2, we also see Hooded Justice, the fictional account of the Minutemen, him Hooded Justice. It opens with Rolf Mueller, the German man who was believed to be Hooded Justice, dead of a gunshot wound, and the voiceover is saying, "That's not me. Basically, it's like he's saying he faked it. He used Rolf Miller to throw off suspicion." And now I'm wondering, is Louis Gossett Jr. was he actually Hooded Justice?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, because I think that is what they want us to.
And is that how he has friends who have an owl ship, which we see at the very end? Mm-hmm. I'm like, and if that's so, are they working with Ozymandias? Is there a whole thing where the Minutemen are working against the 7th Cavalry, and that's why he was after the chief and all that? Like, there's so many questions in 2 episodes. I don't know where.
Either way, it's a beautiful parallel to have a tiny faked my own death story.
Yeah.
When you've got this hint at a larger, like, not real, I mean, just barely hinted at, like, you got to be a pretty big, you're a nerd to have puzzled out that Jeremy Irons is maybe Ozymandias. Not that that's a hard leap to make.
No.
Like, if you've never read Watchmen and you didn't watch the Snyder movie and you just happen to sit down because it's on HBO and Game of Thrones is off now,
right?
You wouldn't necessarily. You'd be like, who the fuck is Jeremy Irons with all the weird science?
Well, and what I wonder, and maybe this is taboo, but who's to say that this sequel or this retelling, reimagining doesn't include characters that were killed off in the original story?
It's true.
Like, what if they didn't die? I think that when they allude to, like, Dr. Manhattan being on Mars, like that and, several other things, although I think a lot of them right now, because there's so much mystery around them, like the owl ship and like the, the War Shack hillbillies or whatever, I think that we don't necessarily know that it's connected, but I think the thing with Dr. Manhattan on Mars, that definitely tells us, like, oh, wait, yeah, this is part of that same story.
Well, and here's the other question. Did Judd arrest or kill Night Owl? He's got his ship. He's got his goggles. Like, I don't know what and there's the castle that is on that Manhattan builds on the moon, and then it's the same castle that Ozymandias is in. And then her kid is building a magnetic version of it. It's like this weird meme thing that's like going around.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's all these little things that I'm like, well, this is definitely going to pay off, but I have no idea how.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say definitely.
Almost
things have not paid off before.
That's fair.
Don't get your hopes up.
I also want to mention one thing that I thought was really fun. American Hero, which they show in the second episode, is such a riff on Zack Snyder's Watchmen, down to the fake blood, the ultraviolence, the unnecessary slow-mo. I felt like it was such throwing shade, and it made me so happy.
I didn't make that connection until you just said it.
It totally is, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it is. This is what Zack Snyder thought Watchmen was: slow violence and slow motion and ultra violence. Yep. That's as deep as that dude got. That's I love that. That's the TV show version.
That's all his movies.
It's all his movies. Other stuff, the music. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think, the guys who did Girl with Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, they do a lot of scores now.
The music in this is great. That bit where she's driving her ultra-fast vigilante car in the first episode.
Yes.
Such good music. I loved it.
Also, great car.
Yeah. The production design, the designs for the costumes, that kind of thing. Little things like she's from Vietnam, which is the 51st state, which happened because they won the Vietnam War thanks to Dr. Manhattan. Red Scare is there because presumably the communists, the USSR and the US got together over this squid thing. I love Red Scare in the second episode when he's basically like threatening to tear down Nixonville. My favorite line was when someone calls him a Nazi and he's like, "I'm not a Nazi, I'm a communist."
Yeah, no, my favorite is the guy with the mirror mask.
Our Watchman, Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, that guy he's bad. Like, it's funny because I've seen him in a bunch of roles, like especially like supporting stuff.
Yeah.
Where
He's an amazing actor.
He's great.
And great director.
But man, like something about like his voice with just like that face is just so impactful.
There was an interview with him about getting the ask to do the role.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, it's going to be a huge project. And obviously, like, there's more money thrown at each Watchmen episode than most indie films. And like, his agent brought it to him, but he didn't really want to do it because there really wasn't. There didn't seem to be a whole lot to the character.
Right.
And he was like, I don't just want to play a heavy who comes in and yells at some people and walks out, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that they like very much assured him that like, no,
there's a lot more to this character.
Like, your character has this whole backstory, and like, so yeah, like you said earlier, like whether anything wraps up, there's definitely going to lay out some threads.
Yeah.
And Tim Blake Nelson is amazing. I love that guy.
Yeah. The cast on this, getting Regina King, and Don Johnson's great in this.
Really like that.
Like, he's really good in
a really
this.
wonderful renaissance for a lot of 80s, 90s actors right now.
His swagger adds to the mystery.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. And why is he so into cocaine?
Why is he the only one happy? Oh, the cocaine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's the only one with a smile in this show.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like,
Wearing that cowboy hat all the time.
Also, there's little details like all the cars are electric. There are no cell phones. There's pagers.
Oh.
And all that stuff because of Dr. Manhattan, because of the technology. And presumably the watch batteries and that kind of stuff being out loud is because of the fear that he gave people cancer, which was a thing that Ozymandias started to make people afraid of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, to get him off planet.
Yeah. So there's this watching this makes me want to go back and reread Watchmen because clearly Lindelof and his writer's room have been through it a few times. And it also makes me think you could watch this without ever having read Watchmen and still enjoy it.
Yeah, part of me wonders if they don't just stray away from the overt connections altogether.
Yeah.
I know we were speculating earlier that, like, how do you not just reference things and
Well, and they're gonna.
do
There's
more of the same
yeah.
that we've gotten in these first two episodes, but yeah, it's strong enough premise. I mean, just the world where, you know, the cops and the people like exist in this way.
Yeah.
And I think everybody will want to go listen to my interview during Austin Film Festival with Carly Ray, who is the co-executive producer on this show.
That's great.
We talk more about her career at large, which spans Mad Men, Leftovers. She's worked on a lot of shows, but she's currently co-EP on Watchmen, and we talk a little bit about the show.
Right. Kyle, did you have a ranking for us on Watchmen? Or is it too early?
To quote one of my favorite movies and books, I do, but you're not going to like it.
Oh, no.
So
Lower than Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
this got an incredibly low rating, and I think it's due
Is it
to
because there's only
the
two
limited
episodes?
reviews. Yeah, I think maybe it's that.
Is it because
But-
the people that rank things on Rotten Tomatoes would also wear Rorschach masks in a mob?
Oh, but that's the thing.
I'm just
it got a
asking
very
question.
weird. So I'm one of the rankings skewed everything, and it's the Rotten Tomatoes audience score.
Yeah. Those guys.
I know
yeah.
about
Yeah.
as much about Rotten
The
Tomatoes
critic
as I know
score
about Reddit.
is just as high as anything else like this.
Yeah.
The audience
Tomato
score
is
is
just a subreddit,
43.
right?
That's because those guys go in and review bomb it.
So you want to hear?
Yeah, I'm curious.
It is better than BH 90210.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
The new one, the one
Okay.
that just came out, which is technically season 1 of BH 90210. I looked into that.
Okay.
Anyways, and then the one show point above it is Deadly Class on Sci-Fi.
Which is already canceled.
Yeah, and this is This is pretty far down the list. If the last one was around 25, this one is above the 50s.
That's so crazy. Wow. So the ratings have been phenomenal. They got 1.5 million on their pilot and 1.3 on their second one.
Let's take a moment to reflect what ratings used to have to be.
Oh yeah.
Like, all right, so Westworld had like a 2.5 million, I think, viewership on some of its episodes.
Yeah.
That is, I think, half what any given episode of Happy Town had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're wondering what the fuck is Happy Town, that's my point.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting is that because of paid TV, splintering, niche programming, streaming, suddenly shows that would never have made it.
You can call 1.5 mil watching live on your night a crazy win.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge for them. Yeah. And it's basically all it is, it's something that keeps people buying your network. Mm-hmm. So I think keeps people putting in that $15 a month on HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
hey, real quick, I know we didn't talk about this, but did you guys catch out that new Mandalorian trailer?
I did not.
I did not. I'm not watching it because I already know I'm going to see it. I don't want any spoilers.
Okay, never mind. I guess that's good because I'm like, ooh, we saw some stuff.
I'm excited for it.
Somebody called it Old West Space Cowboy. They said something about it where I was like, man, I'm going to, damn it, you want to watch it.
Are we going to get you to watch an episode less?
I watch it because Mandalorians are stupid.
And in this episode, we get, I don't know if you hear him speak in the first one, but you get to hear a little bit of his voice. It's sweet.
Okay, nice. Well, we'll be coming up on that soon. Disney Plus is launching in a couple of weeks.
Man, I can't wait.
Speaking of Star Wars stuff, people can also check out our Austin Film Fest interview with Gary Whitta, who
nice.
wrote Rogue One and was on Star Wars Rebels and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, you did a bunch of interviews for Austin Film Fest.
A lot of interviews.
Yeah.
Nice. Rogue One, everybody who's listened to this show knows my relationship with Star Wars. Rogue One is the closest to getting me completely back in the fold as anything could have done. I actually enjoyed that movie.
All right. Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, this deep dive into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And all of its many layers. And so you can go to patreon.com/tvdudes, throw us $1 an episode. We'd appreciate it. We are trying to get our Patreon episodes back on. Scheduling's crazy right now with the holidays, but we have plans. We have schemes. We're working on it. And the money you put towards us keeps us in streaming services and keeps us able to watch a whole bunch of different shows and bring you a bunch of different content. And until next time,
the Agents of TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @tvdudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.